What is Buddhism? What do Buddhists believe? Three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. These words of the Buddha remind us that truth is not confined to temples, rituals, or dogmas. It shines quietly within our daily lives, waiting to be uncovered. Buddhism is not about blind belief, but about seeing reality as it is and transforming suffering into wisdom and compassion. As we begin this journey together on Dharma Pulse, I invite you to open your mind and heart. How might these timeless principles reshape the way you live, love, and grow each day? Share your reflections in the comments, because your voice adds to the pulse of this exploration. 1. Origins of Buddhism. Siddhartha Gautama was born into privilege, surrounded by comfort, yet his soul was restless. When he encountered sickness, old age, and death, the illusion of safety crumbled, and he recognized that no wealth or pleasure could shield the human heart from suffering. He abandoned his palace, not out of despair, but from a calling to uncover the truth. He experimented with extremes, immersing himself in worldly indulgence, then subjecting his body to harsh austerity, but neither brought liberation. Out of this search arose the teaching that would define Buddhism: the middle way, a path of balance where neither excess nor denial rules, but awareness and mindfulness guide the journey toward awakening. The power of Buddhism lies in its clarity. It does not demand blind faith in the unseen, but instead invites direct inquiry. Why do we suffer? Why do we cling? Why do we fear? The Buddha did not place himself as a god to be worshipped, but as a mirror, urging humanity to see its own mind. This is the essence of mindfulness, living with full presence so that every thought, breath, and action resonates with awareness. Though born in ancient India more than 2,000 years ago, these teachings remain as urgent today as ever. In the modern world, suffering is often subtle. The emptiness hidden behind screens, the endless pursuit of validation, the quiet despair of a life lived without inner connection. We move at relentless speed, yet feel spiritually starved. Buddhism challenges us to pause and reflect. Are we truly alive, or merely existing in borrowed dreams? To walk the middle way now is to resist both the exhaustion of overwork and the stagnation of indulgence. It is to understand that freedom does not come from accumulating possessions or renouncing all of them, but from mastering the vibration of the mind. Mindfulness becomes a compass, directing energy back into the present moment. It allows us to breathe through anxiety rather than drown in it, to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, and to meet each circumstance with clarity instead of reaction. Buddhism calls us not to escape life, but to embrace it with eyes open and heart steady. The journey of Siddhartha is echoed in every human life. Each of us must confront the illusions we inherited, the attachments we defend, and the fears we hide. The choice before us is timeless: remain asleep within the cycle of suffering, or awaken into the reality of balance and freedom. Do you feel connected to these ancient teachings? Comment with faith: I walk the path of Buddha. I seek truth. 2. Core beliefs. Life, as Buddhism reveals, is inseparable from suffering. From birth to aging, illness, and death, pain weaves through every stage of existence. And yet, instead of hiding from this reality, Buddhist wisdom shines a light directly on it. The Buddha taught that suffering does not come from fate or punishment, but from within us born of craving, attachment, and desire. Think of the restless nights spent yearning for what you do not have, the success, recognition, or love that feels just out of reach. Desire whispers that you will only be complete when you obtain more, and so the cycle continues. But here lies the radical promise. If craving creates suffering, then freedom begins when you let go. Liberation is not a withdrawal from life, but a deeper seeing of life, where desire loses its power to control you. Meditation becomes not just a quiet practice, but a courageous rebellion against the endless hunger of the mind, teaching you to watch the storm of thoughts without being swept away, and to discover the peace hidden in each breath. The Buddha's path to this freedom is called the Noble Eightfold Path, a way of living that asks us to turn inward with honesty and clarity. It is not a rigid law, but a guide that shapes how you see, how you speak, how you act, and even how you think. Each choice becomes a mirror. Are your thoughts guided by compassion or by illusion? Do your words heal or do they wound? Do your actions reflect truth or do they betray your deeper self? Every day you stand at a crossroads. One way leads back to the familiar prison of craving, the other toward freedom and authenticity. Buddhism does not command you to obey. It invites you to awaken, to see your own reflection clearly, and to walk consciously in alignment with truth. At the heart of this teaching lies samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. To the unawakened, life feels like a wheel that spins without end, pulling us through joy and loss, hope and despair, only to repeat again. Yet this cycle is not an unbreakable destiny. It is a pattern woven by ignorance and desire. Nirvana is the stillness beyond the wheel, the extinguishing of craving's fire, the freedom of a mind no longer enslaved. Consider the story of a modern entrepreneur who chased wealth and status for years, only to find himself trapped in exhaustion and emptiness. His life was samsara, spinning endlessly, but never arriving. It was only through meditation that he discovered the wealth already within clarity, peace, and the courage to live authentically. His story is not exceptional. It mirrors the very choice each of us must face. Do we continue circling in illusion, or dare we step off the wheel? Buddhism challenges us with a paradox. Suffering is not a curse to be hated, but a teacher pointing us toward truth. When we resist suffering, it grows heavier. When we face it with awareness, it transforms. This is why Buddhist wisdom calls us not to flee discomfort, but to sit with it, breathe with it, and allow it to reveal its lessons. Can you endure the ache of longing without letting it control you? Can you sit with your pain without rushing to escape it through distraction? These questions are not meant to shame you, but to awaken you to the deeper reality that suffering itself can open the door to liberation. The lesson is profound yet simple. Suffering is real, but it is not the final word. Its root is craving, and its end lies in release. The Noble Eightfold Path is not a doctrine to memorize, but a living practice that transforms thought, word, and action. Samsara may bind us, but nirvana waits as freedom beyond the cycle. Through meditation, through the courage to see clearly, through the willingness to let go, you begin to walk the path of liberation, where peace is not distant, but alive in this very moment. 3. The Eightfold Path. Life can be seen as a vast river, always flowing, carrying with it the energy of your thoughts, intentions, and actions. To live without awareness is to be swept away by the current, never understanding why you end up where you do. The Eightfold Path is not a rigid set of rules, but a compass, a lantern to light the way, guiding you through the turbulence of existence toward clarity, healing, and liberation. Right view is the first step. The recognition that every choice plants a seed and every seed bears fruit. Your life is shaped by consequences, and until you awaken, the cycle of rebirth continues. To hold the right view is to understand that nothing is random. Suffering has causes, happiness has roots, and both can be transformed. The question is, how often do you see your actions as part of a larger chain of cause and effect, rather than as isolated moments? Right resolve is about setting your heart in the right direction. It is the conscious choice to turn away from greed and hatred and to move toward compassion, love, and peace. In a world that constantly tells you to want more, buy more, and chase endlessly, this resolve is radical. It is the quiet strength to say no to illusion and yes to freedom. As the Buddha said, desire is the root of suffering. Can you imagine the healing energy that would flow through your life if you release the grip of endless craving? Right speech reminds you that words are not empty. They are vibrations, energy that can either lift a soul or cut it down. Every word you speak is like casting a stone into still water, creating ripples that travel far beyond what you see. Lies, gossip, and harshness poison the air, but truth, kindness, and encouragement create harmony. Your voice is a tool of spirituality. Are you using it as a balm for the world or as a weapon that wounds? Right conduct turns daily living into sacred practice. It is not about grand gestures, but about honoring life in every action, refraining from harm, from theft, from indulgence in destructive impulses. Each choice is a mirror of your inner state. To live with right conduct is to live with respect for yourself, for others, and for the unseen order of the universe. Every small act of integrity becomes an offering to your own awakening. Right livelihood asks you to examine how you earn your living. Is your work a force for compassion or for suffering? Does the energy you give to your labor uplift humanity, or does it quietly destroy? In a world where exploitation often hides behind convenience, this teaching urges you to align your livelihood with your values so that your life's work nourishes rather than poisons. When your way of living reflects your inner truth, work itself becomes a form of spiritual practice. Right effort is the discipline of the mind. Thoughts are like seeds in fertile soil. Hatred, worry, and doubt will grow if you water them, but so will joy, clarity, and peace. The right effort is choosing which garden to cultivate. It is the courage to notice when the weeds of negativity arise and the wisdom to replace them with seeds of strength. The mind, after all, becomes what it dwells upon. What are you feeding in your own heart? Right mindfulness is the awakening of presence. It is the art of noticing without judgment, of being fully alive in this moment. To practice mindfulness is to step outside of the prison of unconscious habit and see clearly. Thoughts are clouds. Emotions are passing winds. The body is a vessel of impermanence. In that awareness, you discover freedom, and in that freedom, healing begins. When you are present, even the ordinary becomes sacred. Right concentration is the culmination of the path. It is the stillness of deep meditation, where the restless waves of the mind settle and the ocean of awareness reveals itself. Here, silence becomes the language of truth, and the self dissolves into something vast and boundless. Rumi once wrote, "Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation." In right concentration, you enter that silence, and in it, you touch the infinite. The Eightfold Path is not meant to bind you, but to free you. It is not a doctrine to memorize, but a way of living to embody. Each step is a practice of spirituality, a process of healing, a way to realign your energy with the deeper truth of existence. It asks you not to escape the world, but to transform the way you walk within it. The path becomes alive when you bring awareness to your speech, your actions, your livelihood, your very thoughts. We hope this journey into the Eightfold Path has given you clarity on how to live with wisdom, discipline, and compassion. If you're ready to walk this path and bring these principles into your daily life, comment, "I walk the path below." Your reflections help us create more meaningful content that resonates with you. 4. Nirvana and enlightenment. Nirvana in Buddhism is spoken of as liberation, not merely from the cycles of rebirth, but from the very weight of suffering itself. It is not annihilation, as some might think, but the complete extinguishing of the fires of craving, aversion, and ignorance. Imagine standing at the center of a raging storm, and suddenly the winds fall silent, the clouds part, and there is only clear sky. This is the peace that nirvana represents. The Buddha called it the highest happiness, a state where life is no longer chained by illusions, but flows with a freedom beyond words. Interpretations of nirvana may differ. To some, it appears as the final cessation of physical existence. To others, it is the unveiling of ultimate peace that has always been present. It is less an escape and more a transformation, like opening a window in a dark room and realizing the light had always been waiting outside. In the practice of mindfulness, nirvana is the rising of one's vibration beyond fear and attachment, a return to harmony with the deeper rhythm of the universe. Yet the path of awakening does not unfold in only one direction. The Bodhisattva represents a higher choice, the one who, having touched nirvana, refuses to leave others behind. Their vow is radical compassion, a declaration that no liberation is complete, while even one soul remains bound in chains. To walk the Bodhisattva's path is to see humanity as one body, to recognize that healing yourself means nothing if the collective remains wounded. In our modern world, where isolation and individualism dominate, the Bodhisattva reminds us that mindfulness is not just an inward gaze, but love expressed as service, energy carried into action, presence offered for the upliftment of all. In contrast stands the Arhat, the solitary conqueror of illusion. The Arhat walks the path with unwavering discipline, cutting through desire and ignorance like a blade through fog. This figure demonstrates that no one can awaken for you. No teacher, no friend, no savior can breathe in your place. Each step must be your own. The Arhat is the embodiment of clarity, proof that liberation is possible through individual responsibility and inner strength. Placed side by side, these two archetypes pose a profound question. Is enlightenment a personal triumph or a shared destiny? The Arhat shows us that without personal mastery, there can be no true freedom. The Bodhisattva reveals that without compassion, freedom remains incomplete. One is the mountain climber who reaches the summit alone. The other descends again to guide others through the darkness of the valley. Both truths are essential. For awakening is both solitary and collective, both the raising of one's own vibration and the shifting of the energy field that binds us together. In the midst of modern chaos, these teachings pierce through with timeless relevance. To seek nirvana is not to withdraw from the world, but to transform your way of living within it. Mindfulness becomes not a passing technique, but a state of being where you are fully present in each breath, no longer trapped by yesterday's wounds or tomorrow's fears. In a society intoxicated with distraction, to live in mindfulness is itself a revolution, an act of reclaiming your inner frequency from the noise of the external world. Every moment carries within it the seed of awakening. Every inhale and exhale is a doorway to liberation. Arhat whispers that clarity is your responsibility, that you must pierce through illusion with your own effort. The Bodhisattva calls you to widen your heart, to carry others alongside you on this journey. And nirvana itself waits not in some distant future, but here, within the silent depths of your awareness, reminding you that freedom was never absent. It was simply waiting for you to see. 5. Spread of Buddhism. Buddhism was born in the sacred lands of ancient India and Nepal, where one man's search for truth beneath a Bodhi tree transformed into a path that would outlive empires and kings. Though it declined in its homeland, today making up only a small fraction of India's population, the Dharma did not fade away. It spread like fire carried by the wind, igniting minds and hearts across Asia. Cambodia and Thailand became its guardians. Tibet wove it into the fabric of its mystical culture, and China embraced it so deeply that it now holds the largest community of Buddhists in the world. What does this tell us? That wisdom, once awakened, cannot be confined to borders or buried under the weight of history. The truth discovered by the Buddha, that life is marked by suffering, that attachment breeds pain, and that freedom arises from letting go, remains as piercing today as it was 2.5 millennia ago. Think for a moment about the world you live in now. Everywhere you turn, society urges you to consume more, climb higher, and run faster, yet the hunger never ends. Buddhism challenges this story with a question that shocks the heart. What if the way to peace is not through adding, but through subtracting? What if the freedom you seek lies not in chasing, but in stopping, not in noise, but in silence? Buddhist wisdom shows us that suffering is not an external punishment, but an inner construction, and meditation becomes the tool that dismantles it. A young professional today, drowning in stress and exhaustion, may find more transformation in 10 minutes of mindful breathing than in 10 years of relentless striving. And when he begins to see that he is not his thoughts, not his failures, not his possessions, he touches the same truth that sustained millions before him. The spread of Buddhism across nations reveals something profound about the human spirit. It shows us that truth does not belong to one people or one era, but flows wherever there are seekers willing to listen. It asks you personally, where do you stand in this story? Do you cling to illusions, believing happiness lies in the next achievement, the next possession, the next escape? Or are you ready to walk a path that dares to question the very foundation of suffering itself? The Dharma's journey from India to China, from Nepal to Cambodia, mirrors your own potential journey, from ignorance to understanding, from craving to clarity, from the restless noise of the world to the stillness of your own mind. And in that stillness, you discover that liberation was never somewhere else, never in another lifetime or another land. It has always been here, waiting for you to awaken. Leave your likes and subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell so you won't miss more wisdom like this as we continue to explore the journey of Buddhism across the world. Type in the comments, "I spread wisdom and peace wherever I go." 6. Tibetan Buddhism and Dalai Lama. Tibetan Buddhism carries a unique voice in the realm of spirituality, and at its very center stands the Dalai Lama, seen not merely as a teacher, but as the living embodiment of compassion itself. Within Tibetan tradition, the Dalai Lama is believed to be the reincarnation of Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva of infinite mercy, returning again and again to guide humanity. His presence is like a flame in the darkness, a reminder that true healing is not only physical, but deeply spiritual, flowing through wisdom, compassion, and the subtle current of energy that connects all beings. The current Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th in this unbroken lineage, was forced into exile after Tibet's uprising against China. Yet what could have silenced another became the soil from which his influence grew far beyond the borders of his homeland. Exile did not weaken him. It made him a global advocate for peace, resilience, and dialogue, a voice that bridges East and West, religion and science, ancient truth and modern searching. He often says, "My religion is very simple. My religion is kindness." That statement carries more weight than it seems, for it suggests that spirituality is not about rituals locked away in temples, but about how you live each moment of your life. If kindness is the essence of faith, then every thought you cultivate, every word you speak, every action you take has the power to either wound or heal, destroy or uplift. This is not the responsibility of monks alone. It rests in your hands as much as his. Power, as Buddhism teaches, is not measured by armies or crowns, but by your ability to master the mind, to radiate compassion, and to remain steady when storms surround you. The Dalai Lama shows that the true throne is not built of gold, but of integrity, and the true temple is not stone, but the human heart. Think for a moment of the energy you release each day. When you smile at a stranger, when you choose forgiveness over retaliation, when you sit still and listen to your own breath, instead of running from silence, this is the radiance of your inner power. Society may define strength in terms of wealth or dominance, but Tibetan Buddhism reminds us that the greatest strength is invisible. The courage to love in a world that tempts you with hatred, the patience to endure what others avoid, the calmness to see clearly while others are blinded by fear. In this way, life itself becomes a training ground, and meditation is not an escape, but a way to uncover the dreamlike nature of existence, where awareness itself becomes the light that awakens you. The Dalai Lama's life is not only the story of Tibet, it is also a mirror held up to you, showing what is possible in your own journey. Even in exile, you can discover purpose. Even in suffering, you can find wisdom. Even in the chaos of the world, you can hear the stillness of your soul. As Rumi once wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." And perhaps this is the heart of Tibetan Buddhism, that your wounds are not merely scars, but doorways, places where compassion can flow and energy can transform. When you look at your own life, your own struggles, your own sense of exile, whether from peace, from love, or from yourself. The question is not whether suffering will come, but what you will do with it. Will you choose resentment, or will you choose awakening? Will you let pain harden you, or will you let it carve you open so that kindness, healing, and spirituality may pour through you? As we have explored in this video, Buddhism is not simply a religion, but a way of living rooted in mindfulness, compassion, and the understanding of suffering and liberation. From its origins in the life and teachings of the Buddha, to its core beliefs in the Four Noble Truths and the path toward enlightenment, Buddhism offers timeless wisdom that can guide us through the challenges of modern life. If these principles have sparked something within you, ask yourself, how might applying mindfulness, kindness, or letting go of attachment transform your daily experience? Share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear how these teachings resonate with your own journey. And if you found this meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and continue walking this path with us here at Dharma Pulse.